Hello everyone and welcome back to another review, this time for the 2018 release by developers The Game Kitchen, Blasphemous, a punishing and challenging Metroidvania with a very interesting art direction, influence, and lore. Now, ever since I got my Steam Deck back in May, I was looking for Steam Deck verified games that I could install and enjoy. And ever since I beat Metroid Dread for the Nintendo Switch earlier in the year, I was actually looking forward to playing another Metroidvania. So, not sure if choosing a brutally challenging game like Blasphemous was a good idea while handling a very expensive piece of hardware like the Steam Deck. But at any rate, I got the game installed and I was immediately drawn to the unique presentation and setting of the game. Now, story-wise, Blasphemous takes place in the fictitious world of Custodia, a place that takes influence from like Gothic and medieval themes, particularly those of Andalusian Spanish Catholic Inquisition era, which is very interesting. I had the chance to visit Spain actually some years ago during Easter time and experience a lot of the local festivities regarding Easter, and visited many churches, and the game brought me back in a way to those sites in terms of the decoration and overall ambience that I experienced while visiting the local churches and all that. So as you all know, I don't typically delve into the storylines for games that I review much in order to avoid spoilers. So in a nutshell, you play as the Penitent One, a member of the Brotherhood of the Silent Sorrow, which is a religious order that is opposed to His Holiness Escobar, which is kind of like the main overseer and religious authority governing Custodia. So a key component of the story is the existence of forces known as miracles in the land of Custodia, which have the strange and unpredictable ability to either curse or bless its inhabitants. So throughout your journey, you will meet NPCs that have been affected by miracles, more often than not in a bad / kind of like cursed type of way. So according to the story, the Brotherhood of the Silent Sorrow was at one point wiped out, but at the start of the game, you are revived by a miracle, and this is how you begin your journey towards defeating Escobar. Now, truthfully, this game has an incredibly deep and complex lore that is expanded as you play the game in a very Soul-esque type of way, where nothing is really laid out or explained clearly and require lots of reading and interpretation. But that's where the internet comes to save the day, because truthfully, I was not able to follow the lore to a T. And there are plenty of fans out there that have explored all the story components of this game in detail through blogs, posts, and even YouTube videos that are pretty lengthy out there. So if you're curious about learning the lore of Blasphemous, there are plenty of resources out there. There are also themes that can be interpreted on the surface that don't really pertain to the lore of the game. I guess one example could be that the game appears to be a critique of the, Catholic religion during a period of time where the church was incredibly corrupt, kind of like the Inquisition era. And while I do agree that there is a heavy emphasis on this critique in the game, I don't think this is a straight, kind of like anti-religion game. And in fact, I feel like after beating the game and watching the true ending, there is actually a story component that highlights the kind of like the importance of faith and hope among religious people. So at least that's how I interpreted. That was my interpretation of the game, some of the aspects of the game, but to each their own in terms of viewing the game. But moving on to the graphics, Blasphemous is a great looking game when you consider its in the nature. It features very distinct sprite-based backgrounds and characters that have a unique art direction, creating the perfect atmosphere in this highly religious world of Custodia. All the while providing some creepiness and mystery, which is a pretty cool combination, if you will. So yeah, props to the developers for being able to hit all those notes graphically. The sprite animations are great, and the enemy design of this game is one of my favorites. Featuring just bizarre looking creatures with some religious symbologies here and there, and also gone wrong, if you will. The game offers varied settings, including snowy mountains, churches, barren towns, different types of dungeons, forests, sewer areas, etc. So all in all, there are different settings to enjoy for everyone. The game also features sporadic cutscenes that are made of static 2D images that help add a little bit more to the presentation of the game. In the sound department, this game pleasantly surprised me with a somber and minimal type of soundtrack that it's actually, it's actually pretty good, and I'm looking forward to, delving into the soundtrack a little bit more. I forgot the name of the author, but I already started looking into it because I really wanna be able to download the soundtrack and being able to listen to it. It would be a great thing. The game also has decent sound effects, but what takes the cake, in my opinion, is the voice acting in the game, which is kept to a minimum because there are not a whole lot of interactions with NPCs, but it's out there, and when it happens, it's pretty good. Both the voices and the writing resemble the same style of the Souls games from Software, providing very cryptic and eerie dialogues between the NPCs. And yeah, it really felt like I was playing some sort of From Software game, and this is something that I really enjoyed, and I thought it was very well done considering the indie nature of the game. And we all know indie every now and then equals like a lower budget, so props to the developers for being able to achieve this from the sound point of view of the game. Now, gameplay-wise, this is a Metroidvania, aka a side-scrolling action-adventure game that will have you backtrack and explore different areas and obtain certain items to proceed to the next areas. Combat is based on regular attacks, with your sword being kind of like the type of weapon for short-range attacks, which is what I used the most throughout the game, in combination with like a parry / counter moves done by the left trigger button. And these movements are key since they allow you to expose enemies and deal more damage. There's also a finishing move, depending on how well you parry, and I think it's kind of like a RNG type of situation. You can perform a finishing move that is brutally, I guess, violent and a lot of blood. But it's fun having or watching the finishing moves because each enemy has a different animation. So just an added bonus there in terms of rewarding the player for having good timing and attacks and whatnot. Another very important move is that you have at your disposal it's the slide move that you perform with your right trigger button. That can be used both as a defensive and offensive type of move, so I highly recommend you upgrade this move to successfully attack and inflict a lot of damage when it's fully upgraded. You also have special attacks that consume fervor, aka I guess magic in other games. Truthfully, I did not use many special attacks throughout the game, only sporadically during boss battles, and one special move that allows you to attack from long range is the key one in my opinion. It's extremely helpful if you keep upgrading it, and you find items throughout the game. You will find other items such as to increase your fervor meter and whatnot. You can also equip what's called rosary beads, which provides kind of like buffs to your character, such as adding more defense, improving your health, your stamina, increasing resistance to elements such as poison or other special attacks from enemies, such as lightning attacks and things of that nature. So very important to expand your rosary bead kind of like inventory and find them scattered throughout the game. Now, obviously, the challenge in this game comes from the learning process that you have to invest for each enemy type and also for each boss battle. So similarly to the Souls games, you have to learn patterns and weaknesses from each enemy type to successfully get past them. So a combination of good use of parries and counters and well-timed attacks are critical for the enemy types. The enemies hit very hard in general, so going all gung-ho and playing this as a hack and slash game will get you in trouble very quickly. So another part that really impressed me about this game were the boss battles, which are great and feature very interesting and bizarre looking, grotesque looking creatures that obviously are very challenging and will likely require many attempts to learn the patterns and forms after they take certain amount of damage. So it's in your best interest to look around the world, make sure you have your health upgrades, your fervor upgrades, because you're gonna need all the help you can get for some of the boss battles. One minor annoyance that I had with the combat system is that the animations of your character take a while to happen, so the combat is not as fluid or quick as I was hoping it would be. Even like the quick attacks with your sword sometimes can have an extra frame of animation or two, and this can become really annoying during critical moments such as boss battles, where your brain is actually acting and thinking way faster, but your character is quote-unquote lagging behind due to the animation frames that take a while to finally activate the moves that you're trying to achieve. So yeah, that's a little bit of an annoyance that I have with the combat of the game. In terms of exploration, this game offers a wide variety of places to explore, as I mentioned previously, and in pure Metroidvania fashion, you will find yourself backtracking to get other items and or upgrades. The game does not hold your hand and is vague in terms of the next objectives or where to go, so it will be up to you to explore the land of Custodia and make sense of the situation. The one tip that I think most players will give, including myself, to newcomers is that you should not play the snow area first, like the game might seem to indicate. That area is awfully hard early in the game, and you're better off exploring the other areas first. That way you can kind of like upgrade your character or obtain certain key items. And yeah, you're welcome, guys. Just follow that advice and you'll be good to go. Now, my recommendation in general is to upgrade your sliding move and long range attack as soon as possible, as I mentioned previously. Also, some items are way more useful than others, such as kind of like the item that allows you to withstand the poison and gas clouds in the game. I did fairly well in terms of collecting items for the most part, and also upgrades. I had a pretty large health bar and fervor meter. But I did miss a bunch of upgrades, and dare I say, one critical item to explore more areas that I did not use a guide, so that was on me. So that's why I missed a couple of upgrades and items, but just want to give a fair warning that the game can make you miss certain key items and even side missions that depending on how your journey unfolds, depending on who you talk and things like that, you may be able to miss on certain critical missions and things like that. So just be aware of that when you're playing the game. Now the game has different endings, and I got the normal ending, if you will. There was no way in hell I was getting the true ending, since you have to perform a bunch of very specific actions that most definitely require the use of a guide. But I did watch the true ending on YouTube out of sheer curiosity, and because I didn't feel like replaying the game, not in the near future anyways, as much as I enjoyed this game. But yeah, overall Blasphemous is a very solid Metroidvania game that I highly recommend. If you like a challenging game, this is definitely for you. If you're into like the Souls type of lore, that it's very mysterious and obtuse, if you will, this is also for you. And another cool thing is that it's also available in most systems out there, PS4, PS5, Switch, Steam, and whatnot. The Steam Deck version of the game worked almost flawlessly. I did have a freeze or two here and there, but overall it was a great experience playing this on just a handheld device from Valve. So with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all later. Take it easy.